Hey guys, you guys seem to like these aveo videos, so I'll go ahead and give you another one here. Having an issue with my throttle position sensor. Been happening for a little while now. It keeps throwing up a code and then it just goes in limp mode. So doing a process elimination, I haven't had a lot of time working on this car, but I have gone through and changed a few things when I had time. Your throttle position sensor is actually right there. And on this type of car, you can't change just the throttle position sensor, you got to change the whole throttle body. So, you have to go through there. I think there's like 4 bolts holding this thing on. Take all this off, all these lines, and then unplug your throttle position sensor, which is right here. Alright, sorry I had a phone call real quick, but we'll get back into this. As I was showing right before the call, this is your throttle position sensor. Aftermarket, they don't really make them, or at least they say they don't. Anything you look up, even if you go to GM, I've actually called them and asked them, and they said, no, we can sell you the whole harness for like $400, but we don't have any pigtail for this. Well, I hate to tell GM, they actually do make it. There's the company it comes by, and there's the part number if you guys need it. But it's almost a generic color, exact same plug-in. I'll even bring them up to you so you can see it. Right there, exact same plug-in and everything, except it's all white, which isn't a big deal. You can, put them right up against the collar and make them right. I'll show you how to do that too. But anyway, my issue was these wires in here were bent real bad at the connection. Now I did straighten them out and I drove it around for a couple days to make sure that was my problem, which, I mean, if you didn't have the knowledge or the time to put in this other connector, that would probably last you for a while, just to straighten these out and go about your day. But this connector is bad. If you want to go even cheaper, you can actually de-pin this and cut these and make them a little bit shorter. But since my father-in-law found this connector, it's good to go for me. So I'll go ahead and continue this and I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, so when I go to cut this, I'm just going to cut them straight across. But I know, because of this tab right here, this is straight up. So when I plug it in, I know this is going to be facing up towards me. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut along all these wires and keep them at least, maybe an inch, inch and a half of wires shown on this connector. So when I go to wire it in with the new connector, even though the wires are all white, I will know what color goes where just because I left some of this hang off this connector. And then we'll just put the other connector straight up and match them together. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Just like that, there's our connector. Now these wires are actually kind of small. They actually are smaller than my smallest 0.0 or 0.80 or 20 on my strippers here. So what I'll do is I'll put it on the smallest notch where I want it, and I'll put just enough pressure on it that it starts to cut into this coating, and I'll actually push this stripper. See how it's just now starting to bite into it. But I'll put that on there like so, press down just enough, and actually start pushing on it, and that's what you get. That way it doesn't take any of your wires out in your coating when you strip it. So just put enough pressure on it to where it breaks that coating seal, and then you can just kind of be a guide and push it off. Okay, I went ahead and got all the wires stripped. One thing I do want to mention, guys, is before you start anything electrical, make sure you unhook the negative part of your battery, because you don't want any kind of backfeed going to your ECU, which the ECU is right there, or any kind of sparks, because you can damage stuff. So that's why I always take the negative off before I continue with anything electrical. Now because I'm going to reroute these wires, I'm not going to cut them as short as the factory. Since these are so much longer, I'm actually going to go ahead and plug this in, which I don't know if you can see it, it plugs in right there. Let me see if I can get you some light. Anyway, let's see if I can put this light in here so you guys can actually see. But the connector is actually right here. This is your throttle position sensor, and this is the connector we're going to fit in here. So yes, it is kind of tight, which is good. You don't want them connectors to come off. So I just make sure it's on. But anyway, we can come right here, short right off. This is actually a lot better because as you can see how short this was, it kind of made a real hard sharp turn, which caused damage to this connector. So now we won't have this sharp turn. We'll just have it all nice and straight down through here. So this is right here is going to be my connection. So I'll cut all this extra wire off that I don't need, and we'll connect everything right to this. What I like to do is put shrink wrap on these, and basically all you're looking for, you don't want it to be the same size as the wire, because if you make a solder connection or even a butt connector, it will not fit over top of it. So you're going to just struggle when you have useless shrink wrap on it. So I always like to go a little bit bigger, and depending on what type of your shrink wrap is, you can go even bigger than this and it will shrink down. But because this is just cheap Harbor Freight shrink wrap, it doesn't shrink as far as I would like. So we're basically just going to go with this size. I'm really debating on if I want to take my time and solder this or just butt connect it. But I'll go ahead and give you guys the information. If I do decide to butt connect it, I will cut these at different lengths. So when it's all done, it would look straight. It won't be all bulged in one center. That way we can fit things better. So I went ahead and put all my shrink wrap on to this connector, because once all this is soldered together, there ain't no way to put that shrink wrap on. And as some people think you can just slit this, slit it down the middle and then slide it over the wires. That's not how that works. Once you cut this lengthwise, you no longer have the ability to use this shrink wrap. Now you can cut it, left to right or across and be good to go, but not the other way. So as I was telling you guys, now I got both of these facing up towards me. I know I can look for this wire. So this very first wire over here on the very right is yellow on this wire. So now I know I'm going to go and connect this wire to this yellow wire on the car. Alright, so now you can see my yellow wire here, kinda. But I'll actually show you off this car. I'll have a little setup of just the wiring and how I actually do my wiring. There's better options. There's probably worse options, but this is how I've did it for years. So I'll show you exactly how I do it later. That's one. So we'll go ahead and probably solder that up, and then we'll continue with the rest of them. So when you do go to solder these wires, it'll hold itself without this contraption here, but you really don't want to touch these wires or pull them apart for about 15 to 20 seconds after you solder it, just to make sure that connection is as strong as possible. So I got a set of working hands here, helping hands, we're going to call them, and I just clip them onto the wires to be able to hold it. And I put a piece of wire, just hang it up on something kind of high so it'll sit there straight. This way you have better chances of not burning anything in the car while you're soldering, for one, and for two, it will hold it more secure in the center to allow that bond to happen before you remove it. Alright, so there is solder connection number one. I don't know if you can see with my light on. Like I said, I'll show you guys how to do this in another video, and I'm not really going to waste your time with showing you all other of the 5 wires that needs to be connected. So I'm going to go ahead and solder these all together and shrink wrap them, and I'll show you the end result. Well, there you go. Through the power of YouTube, there's all the wires soldered together and heat shrinked. So now I'm going to go ahead and clean up this wiring a little bit before I go put everything back together. Now what I'm going to use is this rubber insulator. This is more for like industrial use, electric. I mean, that is what I pretty much do on my job. Anything industrial I take care of, but I got this rubberized coating. It will help with any kind of signal noise and stuff like that in your wiring too, so it helps to eliminate some of that so your computer can read a little better. But anyway, I got the insulation, and I got some regular electrical tape, and I believe I may even have some wire loom laying around here. If I do, I'll put it on. If I don't, this will be more than enough. As far as heat wise, I said this is really good stuff. It's, you know, we use it at 480 volts, so it should be more than enough for this 12-volt battery. So I'll show you guys what it looks like after I get done wrapping it up. Alright, so here you have it. It's all wrapped up back into the factory harness. Wrapped it up the same way factory has it. Now I did leave a little bit extra loose up here just because I don't want to run into the same issue that factory had, and they just had it too close, causing that issue on that connector. Just this was all connector issue. All right, let's get her back together. All right, there it is, all back together. Looks pretty factory, other than my tape, because I thought I was going to end up taking this whole harness off and just replacing with another one that I had a deal on for like 75 bucks. But anyway, now you can just take your tape off when you're ready to go. I would double check my work. Like I said, I'm pretty confident in everything I do, so I have no worries whatsoever that this is going to work. So I went ahead and bundled it all back up. But if I was you guys, I would kind of like soft throw it. Just put everything you have to, like throw this back on, throw your map in, throw your cam sensor and all that stuff back on, and then just start the car and make sure it works okay before you go ahead and take your time and make it complete again. But let's go ahead and get her started up. There it is, guys. Started it, running, styling good, no check engine lights, nothing. Just what we needed. But that's going to go ahead and conclude the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope it was helpful. If you could, please like, comment, and subscribe.